Hello everyone. I am planning a women's group starting in September that will be studying this book, The Life-Giving Home. And I wanted to read a part of it to anybody who may be interested and maybe whet your appetite here for give you an idea of what this book is like. My family and I have started this practice of reading separately and then coming together to tell each other about what we've been reading about. And last week, instead of telling my family what I've been reading about, I actually read this part to them that I'm going to read to you all right now. Because I just felt like there was no better way to express what I read about than actually to read parts of it. And I actually had to stop in the middle of reading it because it actually brought me to tears at that point. Well, perhaps you'll see why. In the beginning, the world itself was home for human beings. We were exiled at the fall, left lost, broken, and homesick by sin. But when Jesus came in human flesh, home became possible on an eternal scale once more. Every day, in each inch of space, each rhythm of time, each practice of love, we have the chance to join God in coming home and living so that we make a home of this broken and beautiful world all over again. Love is enfleshed in the meals we make, the rooms we fill, the spaces in which we live and breathe and have our being. The kingdom coming into the world has to have a starting point, and I think God meant the home to be one of the primary places into which His kingdom comes afresh, His life made known again on the scale of the everyday. Elizabeth Gouge, in one of my favorite novels, puts it this way: Lucia knew always, and Nadine knew in her more domesticated moments, that it was homemaking that mattered. Every home was a brick in the great wall of decent living that man erected over and over again as a bulwark against the perpetual flooding in of evil. Garge knew that home is not only a refuge from evil, but also a place for a new beginning after evil has done its worst. A place where hope breaks once more into human existence, not just as an idea, but as a refuge. In her novel, Pilgrim's Inn, from which the above quote is taken, she presented a story about the Elliots, a family shattered and shaken by World War II, who leave London after the war to begin afresh in the big old Maison d'Eau, an inn for travelers, pilgrims, turned into a country home. In that house, a place cultivated by each generation who lived there to be a refuge for the spirit and soul, the Elliots encountered the redemptive presence of beauty and the healing reality of belonging. Through the fireside spaces, the kitchen table, the gardens, the rhythms and shelter of the place, they are restored. I was blessed to grow up in such a home. I grew up in spaces framed by art and color, filled with candlelight marked by beauty. I grew up within a rhythm of time made sacred by family devotions in the morning and long conversations in the evening. I grew up with the sense of our daily life as a feast and delight, a soup and bread dinner by the fire, Celtic music lilting in the shadows, and the laughter of my siblings gave me a sense of the blessedness of love, of God's life made tangible in the food and touch and the air of our home. It was a fight for my parents, I know. Every day was a battle to bring order to mess, peace to stressful situations, beauty to the chaos wrought by 4 young children. When someone once asked me just what it was that my parents did that made me believe in God, without even thinking, I said, I think it was French toast on Saturday mornings and coffee and Celtic music and discussions and candlelight in the evenings. Because in those moments, I tasted and saw the goodness of God in a way I couldn't ignore. What my parents, bless them, knew, what Elizabeth Garge understood, is that to make a home right in the midst of the fallen world is to craft out a space in which the kingdom comes, in which we may taste and see the goodness of God. Home is not merely a dwelling. It's a story molded by the walls and hours and tasks and feasts with which we fill our time, reflecting the reality of the God whose love animates every aspect of our being. The story is always possible. We don't have to have a perfect family, a healthy background. We don't have to have lived in one place. Nothing is required for making the home except a heart that loves God, an imagination fired by His Spirit, and hands ready to create. And well, a bit of courage too. It takes grit to confront those fallen realms of loneliness, those empty spaces, and fill them. But when we do, the kingdom comes in the homes we make, as the love of God becomes flesh in our lives once more. This is what I tell myself each time I arrive lonely and homesick once again, in the void spaces of a new life. I write to you out of my own long battle to find and make the kind of home that shaped me. I'm still holding out for a cottage with a garden someday, but until then, I know that each new little student room is my space of possible creation. It's why, after that moment of panic or fear or loneliness on that first new morning, I will shove my jet-lagged or car-weary limbs out of bed and survey the mound of boxes or suitcases. I will look around me at the bags I haven't unpacked and the clothes I haven't folded. I will stare down every inch of my foreign little room until it meets my gaze. I will sigh very deeply. And then I will rise with an exertion of will that feels like the lifting of a massive weight. And I will do what I have done with every adventure before. I will begin to build a life, and that means I will begin to make a home. I will open the window and let the stale air of the night seep away. I'll brew some coffee and find a way to play music, strong and sweet, into the quiet spaces, the old Celtic melodies I love, or the throaty songs of the artists I have hummed along with since childhood. Amidst the melody, I will begin to order the spaces of my new existence. I will unpack, fold, and stack. I will email my mother and battle that black hot darkness of loneliness with every atom of order and loveliness I can muster. I will pile books on the old shelves, set out a few family photos, cram flowers into whatever random jug I can find. Then I'll foray out in search of tea and bread and find a charity shop where I can garner a poster or two for those gray walls. Or even better, some vividly illustrated cards or woodcuts. I'll seek out a vase for the flowers, an old scarf to drape over the sagging student desk. I'll gather them all together and head back to my tiny room. And when it is all finished, when I've christened my work with a first cup of tea, I'll sigh again and begin the next adventure of finding a few lonely souls to invite into my tiny makeshift home. As I do all of this, I am aware of the kingdom coming. As I order and hope, fill and form, the Holy Spirit is renewing one more corner of the world. Here, in my room, the fallen stuff of the broken earth is being formed back into love, into home. There's no place like it. So, that is part of one of the chapters in this book, The Life-Giving Home. The book was written by Sally Clarkson and her adult daughter, Sarah. So that was Sarah writing about the home she grew up in and going off to school, different places, and making a home to be like the home she grew up in. And, and I just thought that part was just really beautiful about us redeeming all the brokenness and darkness in this world, with love and beauty and God's light and God's truth, and getting every aspect of God into our lives. That's what we need more, because God is love, He's light, He's truth, He's hope. And the more we could get that into our home, we're redeeming our home. What the enemy wants to take, we are restoring it and making it like a little heaven on earth. And I think that's God's purpose for our homes, to give us a taste of heaven, a taste of His kingdom. And as mothers, it is primarily our privilege and our job to to be the artist of arranging all that for our families. So I just hope that you found that as beautiful as I did. If you were interested in joining me and several other excited women who are going to be reading and discussing this book together starting in September, send me a message and we'll keep you updated on the days and times and all the plans.